So, first individual we're going to see this morning is Paul Ezekiel. Followed by Aaron Hunt. Okay, is the state ready to proceed?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. The state's requesting bail in the amount of $10,000 with pretrial services supervision if he's able to post and no contact with 929 Willow Street. So he was arrested for mail theft, resisting, and possession of drug paraphernalia. I know Your Honor reviewed the PC sheet. The facts in there are pretty concerning with him peering into people's windows and things. Already this year, he's got a misdemeanor arrest for resisting and disturbing the peace. He was found incompetent on October 6th of 2025. He's got a misdemeanor arrest for petty larceny this year out of Reno Muni. It looks like that one was also dismissed. And then another resisting this year, which was also dismissed. 2024, he's got a gross misdemeanor conviction for carrying a concealed machete. So he has been competent at some point in the last couple of years. And then he's got a misdemeanor conviction for obstructing as well. He's got additional criminal history between 2023 going back to 2017. He's got numerous failures to appear throughout his history. He's got some felony convictions, including an attempted burglary back in 2020, a possession of a stolen motor vehicle in 2019, a larceny from a person in 2019, and as I mentioned, he's got numerous failures to appear throughout, as well as pretrial violations. So he's a high risk of both continued criminal conduct and future non-appearance. So the state's requesting bail in the amount of $10,000, pretrial services supervision if he's able to post, and no contact with 929 Willow Street.
Right. They have a response?
Yes, Your Honor. So any sort of bail would be de facto detention for Mr. Asiki, as he can't afford any bail. I do understand his NPRA score. We did speak with him. We weren't able to verify any further information based on that. He is okay, I think, with the stay away order. He's okay with drug and alcohol testing and check-ins. So my ask today would be an OR release with those appropriate conditions.
And Ms. Darby, wasn't he just released on December 30th?
Yes, Your Honor, I did see that on the risk assessment. I'm not sure what case that was on, though. I don't see it on his criminal history.
Oh.
So it could have been that I know he was held for the statutory time period after being found incompetent, but that would have only been mid-October. So it sounds like he was arrested at some point after that as well.
Right. Just bear with me. I just want to check my notes on this because I have gone through each one of these files. All right, I'm going to set his bail at $5,000. No contact with 929 Willow Street. He'll be subject to testing. Shall not possess firearms or weapons. He'll have supervised check-ins with pretrial services. All right, next is Mr. Hunt, followed by Sunshine Driver.
Your Honor, Mr. Hunt, I believe once again refused to speak with us, so I'd just be asking for an interim bail at this point.
So, Your Honor, I'm going to object to an interim bail. If he's refusing, that's a willful refusal. I'm not hearing that he's sick or otherwise incapable. So I think we should go forward with the bail hearing at this time.
All right, I would agree. So they're ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor. The state's requesting bail in the amount of $5,000 from Mr. Hunt. Pretrial services supervision with testing if he's able to post, and no non-emergency contact with Renown. He scores a 14 on the risk assessment. He's got 2 points for failures to appear, 2 points for violent criminal convictions. He's also held on a contempt warrant out of Sparks Justice Court. This year, he's got misdemeanor convictions, 2 of them for possession of drug paraphernalia and a misdemeanor conviction for resisting. In 2024, he's got a misdemeanor conviction for petty larceny out of Sparks. He has 90 days suspended on that case. He failed to appear for a review hearing, and then he failed to comply with conditions. A failed to comply warrant issued, and I think that's the one that he's held on presently. He's got a misdemeanor conviction for obstructing and resisting out of Reno Muni in 2024, a misdemeanor conviction for disobeying an order. In 2024 as well, a trespassing in 2024. In that case, he was released on his own recognizance and then failed to appear. He picked up a petty larceny while out on own recognizance release. And then he's got another case with a failure to appear in 2024 out of Reno Muni, a couple more convictions. And he's got misdemeanor convictions going back to 2019 for similar offenses, including a battery back in 2019, it looks like. And he's got failures to appear, I think, on every single case for which he's released. So the state is requesting bail in the amount of $5,000, pretrial services with testing if he's able to post, and no non-emergency contact with Renown.
All right, do we have a response?
Yes, Your Honor. So we were unable to speak with Mr. Hunt and verify any information. But I do see that this is a possession of controlled substance case. So my ask would be, in lieu of the 5,000, to potentially send him to an inpatient facility with direct transport, based on the charges. If he is willing to do that, it's going to take some time. We would have to get a substance abuse evaluation. So it'd at least be a couple weeks, but that would be my ask today.
I would otherwise agree with you, but not with this risk assessment and his failure to appear and comply. He wouldn't be a good candidate for that. So his bail's going to be set at $5,000. No contact with Renown unless it's an emergency. Drug and alcohol testing. I've got shall not possess firearms or weapons, given the fact that he's a felon that's violent crime in his history. Be subject to pretrial services. All right. Next is Sunshine Driver, followed by Alicia King. All right. So we ready to proceed with Ms. Driver?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. So Ms. Driver scores a 4 on the risk assessment, but she's got a lengthy history of controlled substances related offenses going back 25 years. So her most recent contact that I can tell with law enforcement was a misdemeanor conviction for domestic battery back in 2016. She had a PCS charge dismissed in that case as part of negotiations. In 2012, she's got a felony arrest for trafficking, possess controlled substance with intent to sell, and possession of a controlled substance with no disposition. 2008, she's got a felony arrest for possession of meth and conspire to violate the Controlled Substances Act. It looks like she was granted the opportunity at diversion in that case, but was ultimately sentenced to 12 to 30 prison. That's pursuant to notes in my internal system. I wasn't able to access the case on eFlex. She's got a felony arrest for PCS with no disposition back in 2003, and then in 2001, a felony conviction for being under the influence of controlled substances. So if this were a simple Category E possession case, Your Honor, I probably wouldn't object to an OR given the remoteness of her history, but she had quite a lot of methamphetamine in her purse, as well as that stun gun and some pipes. And so I think at this point, I'm requesting bail in the amount of $5,000, or alternatively an OR with direct transport to inpatient, pretrial services with testing for drugs and alcohol, and no firearms or weapons.
Okay, do we have a response?
Yes, Your Honor. As the state pointed out, her MPRA score is a 4. Looks like she's got points for age of first arrest, misdemeanors, and violence. I believe the violence would be, as the state said, maybe 10 years ago. Her last conviction is from 2016, as the state pointed out. It is fairly remote. I do understand the state's concern, but we were also able to call America's Best, where she has been living and also working on 666 North Wells. And she has been, we were able to confirm that she has been working there and living there for a couple months. So my ask today, I think there's least restrictive means to ensure her return to court and safety of the community. based on, I believe, pretrial services testing, and check-ins would be appropriate, with an OR release.
I do think she might be a good candidate for inpatient treatment. So I am gonna set her bail at $5,000. Unless she can get or direct transport to inpatient facility. She'll be subject to testing. Shall not possess firearms or weapons. Must reside at American Best Motel 666 North Wells, Unit 250 if it's available, and supervised check-ins with pretrial services. But I do think she'd be a good candidate for inpatient facilities, so that's what I'm gonna put in my order. All right.
Thank you.
So it's $5,000 for you.
All right, next is Alicia King.
$500.
Now, she does have a no OR warrant with RMC. But given the circumstance of this case, she'd otherwise be a good candidate for an OR release.
Sorry about that.
Ms. Darby.
Yeah, Your Honor. So I think, I thought about this case for a while. The concern is obviously the failure to appear warrants. She's got a misdemeanor arrest for battery out of Reno Municipal Court in 2025, and she's failed to appear for sentencing twice on that case. So that is the state's concern. However, given the nature of this case, maybe against my better judgment, I'm not going to object to an unrecognizance release with pretrial services supervision. And we'll see if she shows up, and if she doesn't, we'll just put out a warrant.
We'll submit on that, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. King, do you understand that? You have to show up to your hearings if you're gonna be released.
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
All right, you still residing at 985 Cambridge with your husband?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and release you, but here's the following conditions. No contact with this Christina Liu. You must reside at 985 Cambridge with your husband, and you'll have supervised check-ins with pretrial services. All right, if you fail to appear, you'll be back here, and obviously the result will be different. You won't be released. All right, miss?
Yes, sir.
All right, you have a good day.
Thank you. You also.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, what about Mark Lyman? Looks like we have two for Mr. Lyman. All right, state ready to proceed?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. So we're going to join these cases and charge them all together.
Okay.
So I'm requesting $10,000 bail total. I don't know how the court wants to, maybe $8,000 on the possession of a stolen motor vehicle case, $2,000 on the possession of controlled substance case. So the biggest challenge for Mr. Lyman is that he has a lot of recent criminal history and he continues to be non-compliant and he fails to appear. So he scores a 10 on the risk assessment with 2 points for failures to appear. He's got a citation for possession of drug paraphernalia on December 3rd of 2025. That case is pending out of Reno Municipal Court. Also in 2025, a misdemeanor conviction for domestic battery, a misdemeanor conviction for resisting, a misdemeanor conviction for petty larceny. In that case, he was found in contempt and his 180-day suspended sentence was revoked. He's got another citation for possession of drug paraphernalia in 2025, a failure to appear warrant issued in that case, but the case was ultimately dismissed after he was arrested on the warrant. 2024, he's got a misdemeanor conviction for illegal camping with a failure to comply warrant and another misdemeanor conviction for illegal camping with 2 failure to appear warrants. So clearly he just doesn't show up for court. He doesn't do what he needs to do. And he appears to be escalating in terms of the crimes he's committing. So the state is requesting a total bail of $10,000, $8,000 on the possession of a stolen motor vehicle, $2,000 on the possession of controlled substance, pretrial services if he's able to post with testing for controlled substances.
All right, do we have a response?
Yes, Your Honor, and speaking with Mr. Lyman, he would like to be transported to an inpatient facility, if that is available, to deal with his substance abuse issues. Other than that, we'll submit, Your Honor.
Ms. Darby, do you have an objection to an inpatient facility transport?
So for this defendant, for Mr. Lyman, I actually don't, Your Honor. He's young. His criminal history is all in the last couple of years. I hope that he can do well in inpatient, so I don't object to that.
All right. So, in reading through the PC sheet, he convinced the officer that he had not stolen the vehicle, but apparently when he reviewed the surveillance, a different surveillance camera at Circus, he in fact did take the vehicle. Nevertheless, it looks like he might be a good candidate for direct transport. His bail's gonna be set at $8,000 on the possession of a stolen motor vehicle case, 2,000 on the drug case, no contact with the El Dorado or Maryland Gills, drug and alcohol testing. The other condition will be direct transport to an inpatient facility. Hopefully he'll be able to do well, otherwise you will be back here again, Mr. Lyman. All right, you'll be subject to supervised check-ins with pretrial services. All right?
Sure.
Our Lyman unit.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, we just finished these two GROs. Okay. Next individual is Nathan Rust. Nathan Rust. Okay, he's right. Followed by Jacob Watkins. All right. Stay ready to proceed on Mr. Rust.
Yes, Your Honor. So this is one of the more egregious battery by prisoner cases that I've seen recently. He apparently struck the other inmate 19 times, and the other inmate didn't even try to hit him back. Scores a 10 on the risk assessment. He's also in custody on new charges out of Sparks Justice Court, those being possession of controlled substance, possession of burglary tools, possession of drug paraphernalia, and petty larceny. In 2025, he's got a misdemeanor conviction for possession of drug paraphernalia, a misdemeanor conviction for shoplifting out of Susanville, misdemeanor conviction for obstructing and resisting out of Susanville. That's all in 2020. 2024 felony arrest for post-community supervision release violation out of California, a misdemeanor conviction for PCS out of California in 2023. And then just similar going back to, it looks like 2017, but he does have a felony conviction for PCS for sales and felon or addict in possession of a firearm out of California in 2021, and then a felony conviction for post-release community supervision violation out of California. He's also got some arrests for violence back in 2020, mayhem, carjacking, battery with serious bodily injury, force ADW, not firearm, great bodily injury likely. Looks like that case doesn't have a disposition, and then he's got a felony conviction in 2020 for convicted person possessed firearm, and he was sent to prison on that case. So clearly he's a dangerous individual, high risk of continued criminal conduct. The state's requesting $20,000 bail with pretrial services supervision if he's able to post, and no firearms or weapons.
All right, what about testing?
So testing looks like his most recent would be the misdemeanor conviction for PCS in 2023. So it looks like testing is probably appropriate, Your Honor. And given it's probably going to be ordered in his new Sparks Justice Court case too.
Right. I would agree. All right, do we have a response?
Yes, Your Honor, and speaking with Mr. Rust, any sort of bail would be de facto detention. I understand the state's concerned, but I think some things could be fashioned to ensure safety of the community and his return to court. One of those potentially being a GPS monitor. We did get some information from him. It looks like his last NPRA score was a 10 at the prior booking. We were unable to verify the information, but he does have an address that he would live at in California with his dad. We did get a phone number for him, but we were unable to contact him this morning. So my ask today, based on all that, would be an OR on this case, with GPS monitoring and pretrial services testing and check-ins.
And then what is Mr. Rust currently in custody for?
Your Honor, it looks like it's the new charges out of Sparks Justice Court: possession of controlled substance, possession of burglary tools, petty larceny, drug paraphernalia.
Right. All right,
Already planned, he's under sentence for that.
I already signed on
so this
there.
bail's gonna be set at $7,500. Be subject to testing, should not possess firearms or weapons, supervise check-ins with pretrial services.
Why didn't you do 75?
7,500.
All right, Jacob Watkins.
The category B.
Okay.
Representation, no,
Okay. All right.
Mr. Watkins?
Oh, yes, Your Honor, he did refuse today, so I just asked to continue that to tomorrow. I believe this was his first refusal.
All right, Mr. Watkins can be brought back tomorrow on Monday. How about Frederick Courtney?
Yes.
Followed by Garrett Givney. All right, is the state ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor. So Mr. Courtney scores a 4 on the risk assessment, but is pretty low given his
Right.
criminal history. It just doesn't reflect really the extent of his criminal history. He does also have a fugitive hold. It's a Florida case. It's on a fully extraditable, looks like a probation violation warrant out of Florida for carjacking with a deadly weapon. The date of that warrant is September 27th of 2024. He's also got a 2022 fugitive arrest. It looks like in that case it was also on a Florida warrant. All of his criminal history appears to be out of Florida, other than his fugitive arrest and now this case. 2023, he's got a felony arrest for carjacking with a deadly weapon. The disposition on that one is kind of confusing. It says new commitment / prisoner, so I don't know what the disposition is, but in any event, we know a warrant was issued in 2024 on that case. 2022, he's got a felony arrest for failure to appear ×3. 2018, a felony arrest for probation violation. 2016, a felony arrest for robbery and attempted carjacking without a weapon. 2014, a felony conviction for possession of cocaine. And then back in 2002, felony conviction for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, a felony conviction for robbery, a felony conviction for robbery with a deadly weapon. It might be multiple counts of each of those. It's hard to tell from the way the Florida report is laid out. But in any event, lots of criminal history going back 24 years. And then he's got that fully extraditable failure to appear warrant. So the state's requesting bail in the amount of $5,000 on this case, pretrial services, supervision with testing for controlled substances, and no firearms or weapons.
Right. Hey, do we have a response?
Yes, Your Honor. In speaking with Mr. Courtney, he did tell me that I don't believe that criminal history is completely accurate. He did tell me that there is a fugitive hold out of Florida. I believe it's for an attempt carjacking. There's not a deadly weapon enhancement on that. That being said, he's been here for 2 years. He has full-time employment with Radius Recycling. We were able to verify that information. We were also able to speak with his girlfriend, Danielle. He lives at 1855 Selmy Drive here in Reno, Nevada. Also, they've been living there about a year. He can go back there if he is released. But he's been at Radius Recycling now for almost 2 years. Working, I think based on his MPRA score, I understand the state's concern with his criminal history, but it seems like it is fairly remote. So my ask today would to be an OR release. He's still going to be in custody on that fugitive hold, but at least that gives him a chance to take care of that. And then, this is a PCS. My understanding is based on, I understand it was 8.21 grams that they had said in the wrapping paper. I think that's with the wrapping paper. And speaking with Mr. Courtney, it was trace amounts. So I don't know how this is actually going to be charged. If that is true, my assumption it was probably a PDP if it is trace amounts, which is a misdemeanor. So that would be my ask today as an oral release so that he can go take care of his fugitive hold. He clearly has lived here, he works here. I don't think he's a flight risk. His girlfriend lives here. He's had a verifiable address. So that'd be my ask today, Your Honor.
I think some amount of bail is appropriate in this case. It's gonna be $2,500 or 10% cash. He'll be subject to testing. Shall not possess firearms or weapons. Must reside at 1855 Selmy Drive, Unit F248. That's what's listed in the assessment report. And it'll be subject to pretrial services supervision.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. How about Garrett? I think it's Gibney. This is a lengthy PC sheet. There's a lot going on with Mr. Gibney. State ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor. So we did attempt to make victim contact this morning. The victim did have surgery, so I imagine she's, probably not able to make it anyway. So the state is comfortable going forward. I'm requesting bail in the amount of $200,000, bondable only. Pretrial services supervision with testing if he's able to post that. No contact with Amber Thomas as a condition and per statute, and no firearms or weapons. So Your Honor indicated it's a lengthy PC sheet. I did read through all of it. I would note the case appears to have a very high likelihood of conviction in my estimation. Mr. Gibney was he contradicted himself numerous times. He claims that the victim fell off of the bed and stabbed herself, but that doesn't really explain why she has 2 stab wounds. As far as criminal history, he scores an 11 on the risk assessment. 2025, he has a misdemeanor arrest for failure to appear. I'm not sure on what case that is. I assume it's a Sparks Municipal Court case because it's not in the Reno Municipal Court system and we don't have access to Sparks Municipal Court. 2022, he's got a misdemeanor conviction for possessed drugs not for interstate commerce. 2019, a felony conviction for trafficking in a controlled substance. He was sentenced to 24 to 72 months prison in that case. His 2019 PSI shows 4 prior felony convictions, so for a total of 5 prior felony convictions, 1 prior gross misdemeanor conviction, and 2 misdemeanor convictions. Those felonies include a 2010 felony conviction for PCS. He was sentenced to 12 to 30 months prison in that case, consecutive to his 2009 case, which was felony convictions for sales of a controlled substance near a park. With the enhancement on that, he was sentenced to 13 to 48 plus 13 to 48 consecutive. 2008, a misdemeanor conviction for domestic battery, so he does have a history of violence toward intimate partners. 2007, a felony conviction for attempted burglary. His parole was revoked in that case. 2005, a felony conviction for PCS for sales. He was sentenced to 12 to 34 months with probation in that case in adult drug court, but it looks like he absconded and his probation was ultimately revoked. And then in 2004, gross misdemeanor conviction for larceny from a person and a misdemeanor conviction out of California for possessing a firearm without a serial number. So very lengthy criminal history, including a recent history last year of failures to appear. This is a case of violence. The victim sustained very serious injuries in this case. And as I mentioned, I think the likelihood of conviction is high, which as it relates to the possible sentence and his risk of future non-appearance, I think it makes it great. So the state is requesting a detention level bail in this case. I'm requesting $200,000 bondable only, pretrial services supervision with testing if he is able to post that, no contact with Amber Thomas as a condition and pursuant to statute, and no firearms or weapons.
All right, do we have a response?
Yes, Your Honor. So in speaking with Mr. Gibney, I do understand the state's concern. His MPRA score is a little bit higher. I think that is a little bit higher than information that we could have verified. We did try to contact Amber, I believe the girlfriend, the alleged victim, to talk with her and verify info as he remembered her number. As the state pointed out, I believe she had surgery. And so Mr. Gibney has been working under the table for doing construction for the last 5 years. I understand that's not a verifiable work. We did try to call his boss, but we were just able to leave a voicemail and unable to get in contact with them. In speaking with Mr. Gibney, he would like to do inpatient treatment, so I think that would be a good option. If possible. Other than that, I believe a $10,000 bail would ensure safety to the community and his return to court. He'd have some sort of skin in the game. And if not the 10,000, then as I stated, the inpatient treatment would be appropriate, I believe, based on what they had found, the possession of drug paraphernalia in this case. And with that, I'll submit, Your Honor.
So.
All right, well, the facts of this case are extremely concerning. You did admit taking the victim Amber to the hospital. Long story short, you would be a threat to the community. His bail will be set at $200,000. No contact with Amber Thomas. No contact with 18 Cabernet Parkway. I have also no contact with her father. Clarkson is his name. He'll be subject to testing. Shall not possess firearms or weapons. He'll have supervised check-ins with pretrial services. Again, the facts of this case are very concerning. Correct, and I've already scratched out the bondable only.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Next is Calvin Golden.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, just to be clear, you said you scratched out the 10% option, so it's bondable only?
Correct.
Thank you.
All right, Gibney,
Means
go ahead,
it's a
back.
bond.
You get a 10% option.
Pay bonds.
Yeah, it would qualify under the administrative order as no 10%. All right, are we ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor, is this Mr. Golden?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, as for Mr. Golden, the state's requesting bail in the amount of $10,000, pretrial services supervision with testing for alcohol if he's able to post, and no firearms or weapons. So he scores an 8 on the risk assessment with 2 points for failures to appear, 2 points for violent criminal convictions. And they noted he's got 2 active post-adjudication cases out of Reno Justice Courts. Those cases are for a 2024 misdemeanor conviction for battery. He has 180 days suspended in that case. He failed to appear for his last 2 OSCs in that case. 2023, he's got a misdemeanor conviction for domestic battery, also out of this court, with a 30-day suspended sentence in that case. Those are the 2 cases that are referenced in the risk assessment. 2023, he's got a misdemeanor conviction for resisting. He had multiple pretrial violations in that case, including positive alcohol tests. 2018, it looks like he's got a misdemeanor conviction for driving without a license. He failed to appear at his arraignment in that case. He's got a citation for speeding and no driver's license. He failed to appear at his arraignment in that case. That was out of this court. Misdemeanor conviction out of this court in 2018 for DUI. A felony conviction in 2018 for unlawful transport of firearms. That was a federal conviction, it looks like. And then he had a probation violation in 2023 with a federal hold. Felony conviction in 2017 for attempt fraud unemployment benefits. That was out of the Attorney General's office, it looks like. He's got arrests for domestic battery in 2016, 2015, 2014, 2013. All of those were dismissed, though. And then he's got a couple more misdemeanors, one with a failure to appear. And then in 2011, a felony conviction for possession of stolen property and a felony conviction for carrying a concealed weapon. So lots of criminal history, lots of failures to appear, compliance issues very recently in his case out of this court, one of his cases out of this court. So, and then just the facts of this case as well. He's intimidating police officers, making threatening statements. So the state is requesting bail in the amount of $10,000 if he's able to post that pretrial services supervision with testing for alcohol and no firearms or weapons.
All right, do we have a response?
Yes, Your Honor. And speaking with Mr. Golden, I'd like to point out that those 2 cases that the state cited that are in RJC have been taken care of. I do understand that there were FTAs, but I'd just like to point out that no warrant was issued, and if it was, it's been taken care of. And speaking with Mr. Golden, we were able to confirm his address. We were able to speak with his fiance. He has been living at 205 Silver Lake Road here in Reno, Nevada. They've been there about 2 years. He's been in the Washoe County area for 15 years. We were also able to confirm his employment at Sierra Pallet, which I believe was also confirmed through the MPRA. So my ask today, yeah, would be an OR release. This is a gross misdemeanor. I do understand it's still a serious offense, but it is a gross misdemeanor. So my ask today would be an OR release with pretrial services, testing and check-ins.
Well, and in reviewing this PC sheet, especially page 3 of the PC sheet, he has an extensive criminal history involving violent crimes. He was extremely aggressive with the officers. Called the one officer a bitch 122 times. Told him he was a 6-time felon. Made statements that would clearly indicate that he was going to retaliate against the officer. So given those circumstances, the excessive aggressiveness, his bail will be set at $10,000. He'll be subject to testing, shall not possess firearms or weapons. Supervised check-ins with pretrial services, supervised check-ins with pretrial services. He would otherwise be a good candidate, but not with facts of this case. All right. Next is, looks like Marcela Ramirez.
What about Ramirez?
Yeah. This is the one you told me about.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so looks like Ms. Ramirez has an immigration hold. Is that accurate?
Yes, Your Honor.
It is, Your Honor.
Yeah. Looks like several violations at Target. Do you want to proceed? Start.
Yes, Your Honor. So she scores a 6 on the risk assessment, but the PC sheet notes that she has 23 prior incidents of theft at Target, at the 2 different Targets, the one in Reno and Sparks, cumulatively. She was arrested earlier this year for stealing from Target, and she was convicted for the same, or excuse me, last year, 2025. So she's got misdemeanor convictions in 2025 for trespassing, petty larceny. She also has an immigration arrest in 2025. Back in 2012, she's got a felony arrest for trafficking in a controlled substance. That case doesn't have a disposition. I think the feds might have taken that one over. She's also got an immigration arrest in 2012, and she was removed in that case. So she's already been removed. She comes back. She's stealing, I mean, just an obscene amount of times from Target. She's a high risk of continued criminal conduct. And she's also a high risk of failure to appear if they remove her, which appears likely given she's already been removed. So the state is requesting bail in the amount of $10,000 on this case, pretrial services supervision, if she's able to post that, no contact with Target whatsoever, and with that I'll submit.
Okay, do we have a response?
Yes, Your Honor. And speaking with Ms. Guerrero Ramirez, any sort of bail would be de facto detention. She can't afford any bail. We were able to verify some information. We were able to verify an address, I believe, and employment. So that would bring her MPRA score, I believe, from a 6 down to a 3, which would make her a low risk. In talking, she's living with her mom at 1781 Mama Bear Court. She's been living there for about 15 years. And this was in speaking with her mother. There's a Wells Drive address that was an old address before moving back in with her mom. She has been working for a cleaning company. She's been there about 4 months. And we were also able to verify a phone number. So actually that would bring her score down to more of a 2 to 3 tops. So I think with that low MPRA score, I think there's a low risk of a failure to appear, seeing as how she's been living here for 15 years. I do understand that the immigration holds some, they could take action there, which would just leave this in limbo, but this isn't a violent offense. I do understand that this is a burglary mainly because of the trespass from a prior target. Normally this would just be a petty larceny. So my ask today is an OR release with pretrial service check-ins.
What's the address that she resides with her mother? Because
We have it at 1781 Mama Bear Court.
Did you say Mama Bear?
Yeah,
1781?
yep.
All right. Well, there's also a lot going in this case. I mean, she's really gone over the top with respect to targets, especially being trespassed multiple times, but still returning. So I'm gonna set her bail at less than what's been requested by the state. It's gonna be $5,000. No contact with all targets in Washoe County. And must reside at 1781 Mama Bear Court with their mother, and she'll have supervised check-ins with pretrial services. All right,
And that is a 10% cash option, Your Honor.
that's correct.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, looks like Ms. Ramirez was the last individual, correct?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, you have a good weekend, all of
You
you.
too.
Thanks, Judge, you too.